The Australian Constitution is a 35-page document which outlines how our country is to be run. The Constitution is a document that impacts many of us, but it is also a document that I could safely assume a majority of Australians haven't read in its entirety. Do you know what lighthouses, lightships, beacons and buoys have to do with the governing of Australia? What does the Australian Constitution have to say about fermented, distilled or other intoxicating liquids? Find out all the secrets of the Australian Constitution as we break down this profound document into digestible pieces. My name is Katarina Sullivan and I would like to welcome you to my YouTube channel. Over the next several episodes of the series, we're going to go through the Constitution chapter by chapter to understand how the Australian political system works. This episode, we're kicking off with the covering clauses. These are a number of short clauses outlining the document and what it means. The Constitution is technically referred to as an Act to constitute the Commonwealth of Australia, or the Commonwealth of Australia Constitution Act. The reason for this is that it was technically an act of the Parliament of the United Kingdom. As Australia was a colony at the time, to become established as a nation, we needed to get permission from the UK government, either by an act of parliament or by force. Luckily, the United Kingdom was open to the idea of Australia federating, and we didn't follow in the footsteps of America. However, I will point out here that while white settlers benefited from not having to fight against the Crown to federate, this isn't to say that other people, most importantly First Nations people, didn't suffer through colonisation and even through federation. The understanding of the context of our ties to the United Kingdom is important, as the covering clauses speak a lot about the Crown or the monarch. As we read through the Constitution, we understand that it was written by predominantly white Christian men. The opening paragraphs of the Constitution, sometimes referred to as the preamble, explicitly mention God. The very first line of the Constitution reads, "Whereas the people of New South Wales, Victoria, South Australia, Queensland and Tasmania, humbly relying on the blessing of Almighty God, have agreed to unite in one indissoluble federal commonwealth under the Crown of the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Ireland, and under the Constitution hereby established." You may notice in here that Western Australia is not mentioned. This is due to the fact that the colony of Western Australia was initially reluctant to join the Federation. Western Australia held reservations about the proposed federal system. Later on in the covering clauses, you'll see that Clause 3 reads, "And also, if Her Majesty is satisfied that the people of Western Australia have agreed thereto, of Western Australia, shall be united in a federal commonwealth." I can't help but giggle at this, being from Western Australia originally and knowing our state has been a pain in the proverbial from the absolute get-go of the Constitution. It kind of all checks out. So Western Australia eventually did decide to join the Commonwealth just 3 weeks after the Act to constitute the Commonwealth of Australia was passed. There are 9 total clauses in the covering clauses. Clause 1 states the name of the Act. Clause 2 highlights that this document will also be applicable to Queen Victoria's successors. Clause 3 speaks to the moment of proclamation. This is the moment that the Queen will declare that the Commonwealth of Australia will exist. Proclamation Day ended up being 17 September 1900. Proclamation Day, however, wasn't the start of Federation. Proclamation Day announced that the date of Federation would be the 1st of January 1901. This is detailed in Clause 4, the Commencement of Act. Clause 5 covers the operation of the Constitution and laws. This highlights that the Constitution from 1 January 1901 is now the governing document and will be adhered to. Clause 6 covers the definitions of the Commonwealth, the states and original states. Clause 7 repeals the Federal Council of Australasia Act of 1885. This act, passed in British Parliament, established the Federal Council, which consisted of representatives from various Australian colonies. It was regarded as the first stepping stone towards federation. This council did not have the same level of authority as the current Australian federal government, but did lay the groundwork for experiences of intercolonial cooperation. With the establishment of the Australian Constitution, the Federal Council of Australasia Act no longer needed to exist, so it was repealed or cancelled by the enactment of the Constitution. Clause 8 similarly acknowledges that the Colonial Boundaries Act of 1895 shall not apply to any colony which becomes a state of the Commonwealth. The Colonial Boundaries Act was enacted in British Parliament in 1895 to assist in streamlining the process of modifying colonial boundaries. As the Commonwealth of Australia became a self-governing colony, this Act on Boundaries was no longer relevant. Finally, Clause 9 sets out how the Constitution is divided into chapters and parts. The covering clauses span just 2 A4 pages of the Constitution Act. All that information in just 2 pages. The covering clauses may not be the most exciting or sexy part of the Constitution, but they are vital to understand before we embark on exploring the rest of the document. In the next episode of this series, we will look at Chapter 1, the Parliament, and more specifically at Part 1 of Chapter 1, which discusses general functions of Parliament. If you found this episode helpful, please give this video a thumbs up and share it with your family, friends, colleagues, teachers, and more. Please subscribe to my channel for more content on Australian politics, including future videos on how the Australian political system works. Comment below, were you surprised by any of the covering clauses of the Constitution? Remember, understanding the system isn't just important, it's empowering. So let's stay engaged, be part of the conversation, and make our voices heard. See you next time!